Hello, Realtors, and welcome to a preliminary review of the coming legislative session. I'm Jeff Smart, your 2024 Washington REALTORS president. I'm joined with our Government Affairs Director, Mary Hull-Drury, to share some insights and perspectives as we prepare for the new biennium cycle starting next year. Regardless of the outcome of the 2024 elections, the 2025 Washington State Legislative Session will present both opportunities and challenges for real estate and the business community. The biggest opportunities lie in the legislature's continuing interest in addressing our state's housing supply and affordability crisis.
That's correct. The legislature has been focused on housing as one of their top 5, maybe even top 3 issues this last biennium, and passed several helpful and meaningful laws. But there is more work to be done to help balance our housing market. And though early, there are a number of bills that we hope to pass that address reforming the Subdivision Act to streamline it and allow for lot splitting, improve implementation of recent middle housing and accessory dwelling unit legislation, address rural housing issues to include rural ADUs, address the state's complex homeowner association statute and liability laws that negatively impact the condo market, increase opportunities for transit-oriented developments, and continue to incentivize commercial conversion for residential uses.
So those are some of the opportunities, but you also mentioned challenges.
I did. Challenges are always less fun to talk about, but no less important to address. So the 2025 legislative session is the long 105-day session that requires adoption of a new 2-year operating budget. It's pretty certain that the 25-27 budget will be difficult because we no longer have federal stimulus funds for COVID. State revenue growth has slowed, meaning that the taxes and fees aren't generating as much money as originally projected. And we've got 2 initiatives on the state ballot that, if passed, would eliminate billions of dollars in state funding. So this 2, possibly 3-punch combo means that the 2025 legislature will likely consider increasing tax revenues. Some ideas that we've heard include increasing taxes on high-value real estate transactions, so REIT, increasing the annual 1% plus value of new construction limits on property taxes, and increasing and/or expanding the state's business and occupation tax.
Okay, so it sounds like we'll be focused on bills that increase supply and track fiscal impacts that ultimately make the cost of housing and affordability more expensive.
Yes, and for historical context, Washington REALTORS typically supports bills to increase supply and typically opposes bills that make housing more expensive.
Well, that would be enough, but wait, there's more, I'm sure. What else is there?
So, my guess is that you've experienced a session or 2 in your time, and yes, there's always something else. Admittedly, there's a lot of runway between now and January 13th when session begins, so there'll be more issues to tackle. But one bill in particular that I wanted to call out that we've worked on that has been introduced for about the last 10 years and has not yet passed is rent control, otherwise known as rent stabilization. While increasing housing supply is a priority, many legislators and housing stakeholders will also seek consumer protection legislation that could negatively impact housing supply efforts. That, and in the 2024 session that just ended this last March, the House passed rent control. It failed to advance in the Senate, and this is significant because it's the farthest this particular bill has ever advanced. So it's likely that the House will again have a majority of votes in favor of passing rent control. In the Senate, some of the key votes who deadlocked it will not be returning in 2025. While most analysis of rent control concludes that if enacted, it would result in diminished investment in housing supply over the long term. However, rent control supporters will continue to press the issue as a consumer protection issue, regardless of the impact on long-term supply.
So this feels like a good segue into elections. I know that we're in the midst of election season and the general is just around the corner. Now, most local realtor associations across Washington have been busy interviewing candidates to identify and support for those who support our housing issues and industry.
Yes, thank you. And there have been countless hours of meetings and interviews down at the local level, and we're incredibly thankful for all of our members' hard work. So if interested, the list of candidates that have been endorsed to date in this election cycle can be found on the Washington Realtor website at warealtor.org.
Great. Well, this concludes our recap, and I'm sure there will be a few more updates as we approach the session. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Mary.
Yes, thank you.
And thank you for being a Washington Realtor member.